Good morning, guys. Welcome to my channel. So, today I'm going to explain about the operating system. This is for third BCA in Bangalore University. So, first we should know what is an operating system. So, everybody knows the operating system because everybody use either mobile phones or desktop or a laptop, anything. Okay, so in order to work properly, we should require the operating system. So without the operating system, it's highly impossible to work in a laptop or a desktop, anything. Okay, so first we should know what's an operating system. An operating system is the most important system software. So first we should know what is before going for the operating system. So first we had to know what is a software. So software means it's a collection of a program. So why we need to collect the programs? In order to do some activity. Okay, so to do activity, so we should require a set of a program or a set of instructions or a data. Okay, so that's called a software. So software is a set of instructions or a program, or it can be a data to do some activity. Okay, so now in this software, so there are two types. So one is system software and another one is application software. So first we know that what is a software. So now in this there are two types of software. So that is system software and application software. So then we should know what is a system software and what's the application software. So first we should know what is a system software. So system software, it directly operates the computer hardware. It directly operates the computer hardware and it provides some basic functionalities. It provides some basic functionalities to the user. As well as to the software to operate smoothly. Okay, so then we will go for the application software. What is an application software? Here there are some examples for system software. So which are those? Here one of the example is operating system only. So operating system, and then even device operating system, device drivers, examples. These are the examples. Okay, so what is a application software? So application software means here these will provide some basic functionalities, but here in this application software, it performs a special functions. Or provides that are much more than the basic operations. Okay, so that is called the application software. Now, which are the examples for that? You can use either spreadsheet and DBMS software. So these are all the examples for this application software. So here software means it's a set of instructions to do some work. Okay, so in this there are two types. One is a system software and application software. So system software provides some basic functionalities, and here the application software provides some special functionalities. Now example for system software is operating system or device drivers, and for this application software, here example is spreadsheet or DBMS software, anything it can be. Okay, so now this is cleared, I think so, right? So now we'll go for operating system. Now operating system is the most important system software. That means here it is providing some basic functionalities. That's why it is a system software that runs on a computer. An operating system that acts as an, so what's an operating system? So operating system acts as an intermediate between the user and a computer. Okay, so let's I'll give an example for this. So if ever we know, if we want to talk in other language which we do not know, so how to interact with that person? Some intermediate should be required, or any other person should require, and he should translate our language to another language, right? So like that, here an operating system, it acts as an intermediate between a user and a computer. That means here it will, so it will manage the hardware, and if ever, see for example, if you want to see, if you double click on any folder or anything, it will get open. How it's possible? So that is because of the operating system. Okay, so the operating system, what it will do, it will convert whatever the click we have done, that to the machine understandable language, and then so machine will understand that, and then again, so the click means it should get open the file or icon, anything. Okay, so this is how it will manage. So that is the reason here an operating system is an intermediate, or it is an interface between the user and the computer. Okay, so user and the computer hardware. So what's the computer hardware here? Everybody knows that whatever the printer and a keyboard, mouse, whatever we have connected to the system, or it can be a CPU or memory, anything. Okay, so these are all called the computer hardware. So to manage all these things, okay, so we should require some operating system. So now everybody got this, what's an operating system and what's the meaning of this, right? So now we'll go for so the main purpose of an operating system, it provides an environment in which a user can execute programs in a convenient and efficient manner. So this is the main purpose. So why we require the operating system? That means the main purpose is it provides an environment in which a user can execute the programs in a convenient and efficient manner. So it acts as a bridge between the user, it acts as a bridge between user and the computer. Okay, so an operating system acts as a bridge between the user and computer. Okay, so now you got to know what's the definition, right? So here it which performs, so what it will do, what the operating system will do means, so here it will do some tasks like file management, process management, and then handling input output, and controlling the devices. Okay, so these are the tasks done by the operating system. Okay, so next topic is goals or objectives of operating system. So what is the main goal of an operating system? So it works like a, before only I told, it acts as a bridge between the user and the hardware. Okay, so now the primary purpose or a goal of an operating system is it will manage all the resources of a hardware and a software that are connected to the system or a computer. So without the operating system, so the computer is useless or it won't do any work. So when user give any instruction to the computer, then the operating system transform these instructions into binary form such as a zeros and ones. So because computer system doesn't not able to understand the commands whatever we have given, so that is why it will first convert into the binary system, and then so here the system will replay back to that, and then that will be sent it to the user. So the computer can understand only binary codes like a zeros and ones. Okay, so first it will be converted to machine understandable language. After that, so it will give the replay. Now what are the goals of or objectives of an operating system? So it will control and coordinate the use of a system resources like a CPU time. So CPU time is very important because CPU should not sit idle. Okay, so it should always work. And then so if ever the CPU sit idle means it's a waste of time, then no need of the system only, so the manpower only is enough, right? So that is the reason here the CPU time is a very important. So in order to manage this CPU time, we require the operating system. Operating system is very useful in managing the CPU time. And the memory, so memory management, and then clock means that is a time. So then input output devices. So next one, so this is the first goal. In order to control and coordinate the use of a system resources. Okay, so to control and coordinate the use of a system resources like a CPU time, memory, clock, and input output devices. Okay, so this is the main goal of operating system, and it provides, so previously I have explained while giving an introduction to the operating system, so it will provide the environment so that other applications can be able to work. Okay, so now for example here, so for a C programs and all we are going to write, or else any Python or a Java, anything we can do. Okay, so now, so in order to work for that, in order to work with that C++ or a C, Java, anything, So it should provide some environment. Okay, so the operating system should provide an environment so that the application programs will work properly. So previously I said no. So two types of softwares are there. One is system software and another one is application software, right? So to do the application software, the system software should provide an environment for these application softwares. Okay, so to increase, so here the first one is to control and coordinate the resources, and the second one is to provide an environment. So to provide an environment for a user to access the resources, the available resources. So resources means previously I told, right? So resources are like a CPU, memory, input output devices. These are all the resources. Okay. So this is the second objective, and the third one is to increase the productivity. To increase the productivity. So here we require an operating system. So next one is to use the computer hardware. So to use the computer hardware in an efficient manner. Okay, so in an efficient manner, so we require the operating system. Now these are all the goals or objectives of an operating system, right? So next topic is computer system organization. Okay, so computer system organization means here the system is a combination of many parts, right? So like input output devices, secondary memory, CPU. So these are all the combination. That means that will be connected to the system. So keyboard, mouse, printer and CPU, then monitor, all these things will be connected to the system, right? So that is together called as a computer system. So this is how the computer system will be organized. Now here some of the features about the computer system organization are, the first one is here the input output devices. So which are the input output devices? Like a printer, keyboard, mouse, and these all the things, and the CPU. Okay, so both execute concurrently. So that means at a time, so both will get executed. That means here some of the processes are scheduled for the CPU. So here the CPU will be there and some IO devices. Okay, now whatever the processes or works that has to be done by the system, okay, so that will be, so for this is the CPU, the some process of some of the process are scheduled to the CPU and some of the process are scheduled to the input output devices. So whichever the processes require the input output devices, so though for those process, so input output devices will be scheduled, and for the process whichever the CPU is required, so for those, so CPU will be scheduled. So that is the reason here the process concurrently will run on both the input output devices and also with the CPU. Okay, so some are undergoing input output device operations and some are with the CPU. So here there are multiple device controllers will be there. Okay, so in the computer system organization, so here for each and every input output devices, so here some controllers will be there. So there are multiple device controllers. So each in charge of a particular devices. Okay. So see here hard disk. Here this will be controlled by disk controller. And here the printer, keyboard and mouse. So these all the things will be controlled by a device controller. And then the monitor will be controlled by graphics handler. Okay. So here there is a buffer available. So buffer is a temporary memory. Okay, so where the input and output will be stored. Okay, so buffers will be available for each devices. For each devices, the buffer will be available. The input and output data can be stored. But this is not a permanently storage. So this is only the temporary storage. Buffer means it's a temporary storage. Okay. So buffers are available. Buffers are available for each and every devices. So for each and every devices, so the buffer will be available. So now at last, so it can be stored in these buffers. The input output will be input and output will be stored temporarily. So temporarily it will be stored. The data is moved from memory to respective device buffers. So for each and every device there will be a buffer. Okay. So for each and every devices, so there will be a buffers. So now whatever the input output devices will be there, so here the temporary buffers will be there. The data is moved from memory to the respective device buffers by the CPU for input output operations. So from the memory to the respective device buffer. So for each and every devices buffers will be there. So the memory, whatever the data is there in the memory, so that will be transferred to the buffers. Okay, so from the CPU, so for input output operations, and then this data is moved back from the buffers to the memory again. So the device controllers use an interrupt to inform the CPU. Interrupt means it's just like an obstacle. So whatever the process are running, so that will be held, and then so if any information wants to be tell, so that is the reason, so the interrupts will be occurred in order to inform anything. So the interrupt will occur. So that means whatever the running process will be there, that will be held. And then device controllers use an interrupt to inform the CPU that input output operation is completed. Okay, so if the input output operation is completed, then it will inform, and the interrupt will occur. So whatever the running process is there, that will be held. Okay, so now this is clear, right? So the computer system organization, so this is called the computer system organization. Now we'll go for the interrupt handling. So interrupt handling, again we will study. So this is just a basic information about the interrupt handling. So interrupt is a necessary part of a computer system organization, as it is triggered by either it can be triggered by a hardware or it can be triggered by a software. So parts when they need some immediate attention. So if they need immediate attention, so which one, either it can be a software or hardware or software requires some attention. Then the interrupt will be then the interrupt will be occurred. So for example, now the classes is going on. So at that time, if ever anybody wants to come inside, so what you are going to do? Excuse me ma'am, or excuse me sir, like that you are going to call, right? So that is just like an interrupt. That means it's if ever you require some attention towards you, so you are saying that excuse me, right? Like that, if ever, so the hardware and the software require some attention, so then they will be occurred. So interrupts will be occurred. Either it can be from the hardware, it will be triggered by either hardware, or it can be from the software. Next, so here there are two types of interrupts. One is hardware interrupt and software interrupt. So two types of interrupts are hardware interrupt and then software interrupt. And here again in the hardware interrupt, there are two types of interrupts are there. One is maskable and another one is non-maskable. So this we'll study later. Just I'm giving the introduction about this interrupt. So it is of two types. Interrupt is, so interrupt means it's just like an obstacle. So here it will be triggered by the either hardware or it can be from the software. So when the hardware or a software requires some attention, so then the interrupt will be occurred. So if ever the process is finished, so then it has to tell to the system so that the interrupt will be occurred, so that the process is finished. So either it can be from the hardware, it can be from the software. So interrupt is of two types. One is hardware and a software interrupt. And here hardware interrupt, again it is of two types. One is maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts, right? So I think up to this it's clear, right? So up to this it's clear, right? Computer system organization and what's an interrupt. So now we'll move on to the next topic, that is components of a computer system. Computer system structure are components. So which are the components of a system? So everybody know, right? It's a collection of hardware and software components. Hardware refers to the physical equipments. So software refers to the programs whichever provides whichever written to provide some services to the user of the system. So now we'll see which are the components. Every computer system consists of 4 basic components. So that is 4 basic components. Which are the 4 basic components? First one is the, say, who's going to use the system? That is the users, right? So here the user one, any number of users can use, or a single user, it can be anything, right? So here user 1 and user 2, user 3, like this, any number of users it can be. Okay, now what they are using the system. Okay, so within that system here, so first the computer hardware. Okay, so the computer main component is computer hardware. So only computer hardware is enough? Not, right? So here the operating system is required. Why we require operating system? It provides some basic functionalities, right? So that's the reason it will control and coordinates the hardware and software also, right? So that is the reason here only the computer hardware is not necessary. So here the operating system is also needed. Not only the computer hardware, here the computer operating system is very much necessary. Okay, so it's a very important one. Must and should, the computer should have the operating system. So if ever the operating system is not there, it's a useless, computer is useless. Okay, so now next one is, so only the operating system is enough? No. So it just provides some environment. So if you want to do some specific task, we require some of the programs or application programs is necessary, right? So like a system and application programs. So system and application program, like for example, if you want to do some database, any programs if you want to do, so then we require database system, right? Now the assembler. So if you want to do any C programming, so we require some assembler and an editor, text editor, or compilers. So you have written some program. So if you want to compile the program, we require the compiler, right? So like this here, so many application programs are there. So first we require the computer hardware, and then for the computer hardware again we require the operating system. So only the operating system will control and coordinates the computer hardware and even the application programs also. And then the in order to do some specific task, we require the application programs like a compiler, text editor, assembler, and database system. So to all these is required for which one? For the user. Okay, so if the user wants to do anything, all these things will be necessary. So this is the components of the computer system. So now we'll see four components. Which are the four components? First one is the hardware. So what's an hardware? It provides resources. Okay, so it provides the resources. Which are the resources? Like a CPU, memory, and then input output devices. And next one, operating system. Next, this is the first component, and here the operating system. So what it will do? Operating system, it will controls and coordinates the use of hardware among various applications and user. Okay, so various application and also the user. Okay, so here it will control and coordinates the use of this hardware among various applications and also the user. Got it? So next, third one is application software. So I already told, right? Application software, here two types of softwares, that is a system software and application software. So what is this application software? So application software means uh, which resources are used to solve the computing problems of the users, or a word processors, compilers, web browsers, database system, video games, etc. Okay, so that means some special functionalities. So if you want to work on some special functionalities, so we require this application software. And then users. Who are the users? It can be a people, or it can be a machines. Okay, so it can be a machines or other computers. Okay, so now you understood, right, what are the components of a computer system. So four components are there. First one is the computer hardware, operating system, and then system and application programs, and the last one is the user. Okay, so hardware means it provides resources, the like a CPU, memory, and input output devices. And then what is the operating system? It will control and coordinates. So what it will control and coordinates? The use of this computer hardware among various applications. Okay, among various applications and the user. And next one is, so application software. So here it defines the ways in which the system resources are used. Okay, so in which the system resources are used. It defines in which the system resources are used to solve the computing problems of the users. Okay, so last one is the users. So users means like a people, or it can be a machines or other computers. Okay, so next topic is computer system architecture. Computer system architecture. So until now whatever we have learned is, first one is a definition of the operating system, and then what is a software, and what are the types of a softwares we have learned. And next, so what are the goals of an object, goals or objectives of operating system, and then computer system organization. So next, what is an interrupt and the types of interrupts. So next is computer system components, or it can be a structure. Okay, so next one is the computer system architecture. So how the computer system will be done. Okay, like see, so there are so many categories in this computer system architecture. So because based on the users, okay, some of the users can be single, that means personally they can use, and some others for the multiple purpose they can use. Okay, so based on the, for example, if you are alone using, okay, so nobody is used, only for your use, and some other like for business purpose or like that. Here the computer system will be categorized into so many categories. Okay, so now we will see one by one. So what is a computer system architecture? Means it's a designing a system. Okay, so how the uh, based on some usage, or based on the, so computer architecture means design or a construction of a computer. Okay, so design or construction of a computer. It can be designed in a different ways. Okay, so some computer systems have a single processor. Okay, so single processor, and other have a multiple processor. So the computer system is categorized in a ways like a single processor, only one processor will be there, so all the work will be done by only this processor. Okay, so in the multiple processor, and then clustered clustered systems. Here first one is single processor and second one is a multiple processor systems. And then clustered systems. So here on a single processor system, there is only one CPU that performs all the activities. Okay, so only one CPU will be there that performs all the activities in the computer system. However, most of these systems have other special purpose processors. Okay, so here these are having only single processor. With that some special purpose processors such as the input output processor that move data rapidly among the different components of the computer system. Okay, so these processors execute only limited system programs, do not run the user program. So here limited system programs will be run in this single processor system. So only one processor will be there. With that a special purpose processors will be there. Okay, so like a input output processor that move data rapidly among different components of the system. Okay, so like components we have already studied, no? So that is a system and application programs, operating system, and the computer hardware. So these are the components of a system. So among these components of a system, here rapidly the data will be moved. So from which one? In the single processor system, here only one processor will be there. Only one processor will be there with this. So here special purpose. So special purpose processor will also be there. Here what it will do, like a special purpose processor means like a input output processors. So that move data, these special purpose that means processor will move data rapidly among different components. Okay, so different components of a system. These processors execute only limited system programs. Okay, so this will execute only limited system programs that do not run the user program. It won't run the user program. So we define single processor system as a system that has only one general purpose. So what is the meaning of a single processor? Means it has only one general purpose CPU. Okay, so is considered in a single processor system. All the activities in the computer system will be done by only this single processor. With this general purpose processor, we are also having the special purpose processor also, like a input output processor. So what that special purpose processor will do? So it will move the data among the various components of a system rapidly. Okay, I think you have got my point, right? What is a single processor system? So in the next video I'm going to explain about the multiple processor and also the clustered system. Okay, so until now it's clear, you have to read well. Okay, we will continue in the next video. Thank you.